and welcome to this month's Power Hour. Well, it's April 1, which means it's officially appropriate to say Happy Heritage. What a great week it's going to be, and we're so looking forward to this year's RBC Heritage. You know, it's one of those signals at start of a special season here in the Low Country. We're just 12 days away from the RBC Heritage being presented by Boeing. I'm looking forward to hearing more on that today, later in the program. Also, tomorrow night kicks off our annual plaid party. It's graciously being hosted by the Sea Pines Resort and Fraser's Tavern. It's always such a fun and fitting kickoff to Heritage Week, and we know and we'll see many of you there. And there's still time to, I think, still time to RSVP for that if you would like to attend. And I also want to take a moment to highlight the success of our recent Jobs Now 2026 event. It was incredibly encouraging to see businesses hiring right there on the spot last Thursday, students actively engaging, and to retirees and other job seekers making those meaningful connections. That's exactly what this initiative is all about. We even had a waiting list of businesses who wanted to participate, and just great energy throughout the room the entire day. A big thank you to our partners, especially Mary Lee Carnes and Technical College of the Low Country, USCB, SCAD, and Savannah State were all there as well. We've got a great lineup for you today, so let's jump right in. Joining us first is John Rembold, Airport Director for the Hilton Head Island Airport, and also with Beaufort County. John's going to share an update with us on where things stand with TSA at the local level, the incredible community support we've seen, and what we can expect with the grand unveiling of the new terminal just in time for our very, very busy visitor season. John, as always, we appreciate you and your leadership and something that's really so important to our community. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Bill. It's great to be here with everybody. And first, I know you didn't ask me to do this, but I have to put out a plug for the chamber. These days are so uncertain with everything going on, and there's so many different sources to get your information. But I can tell you that I'm thankful for the chamber because you guys serve as really the reliable hub, the hub for the best information out there, whether it's local, national, but plugging us in with the best folks to hear from. And this program is really a testament to that. I mean, it's a great example. You put the community directly in touch with the folks who are involved with these activities. So there's no more genuine way to do that. So just want to start out by saying thanks and giving you a pat on the back. Um, so you asked me to talk about kind of what's going on in the airport world and aviation and travel. As you know, it's March Madness is going on this time of year, and this is kind of the DC version of March Madness that we've been living with for last really it's been almost a year with just such craziness going on up in DC, and it's really affected the airports, especially just with a lot of uncertainty. Everybody's been very resilient, and operations have really gone on pretty smoothly, and we're thankful for that. But the group that's really been kind of a victim of what's going on in Washington with the politics has been the TSA folks. And these are your frontline workers, arguably some of the most important folks in the travel system because they are responsible for the security screening. And I don't think you could put something higher than that as far as impacts to aviation safety. So TSA in this most recent shutdown, which is only a DHS shutdown, has they worked unpaid for about 6 weeks, and that's the third time this year that they've had to endure that. So that means the folks who are greeting you in the lines and getting you through the checkpoint, they weren't getting paid until just this week when it got figured out. So it's tough. And I did some traveling and it was in several airports in the last 6 weeks. And I will tell you that the TSA workers that I encountered were all very friendly and very upbeat, despite the fact that some of them, you have husband and wife teams who may both work for TSA at different airports, and neither one of them was getting a paycheck. So, extremely challenging time. Across the country, there were about 500 officers who quit because of this, and some who were in the interview pipeline and who bowed out. So there's a huge challenge now. This is a long-term issue because it's not really the most appetizing job opportunity to go after now. So if you thought you wanted to be a TSA worker, it's maybe not as attractive as some other lines of work these days. So there's significant challenges to come, despite the fact that they are now getting paid, which is certainly a blessing. This pay is via executive order as well. This is not legislation, so it's not solved. We've got I guess you could say the finger is in the dam for now, and these folks are getting paid, which is great, but it's not a permanent solution. So we still need to pressure the politicians to come up with a permanent solution to make this work. And just last week, I was in DC with a group of other airport directors from South Carolina and Georgia. And we go up every year to advocate on federal issues that we all have in common. And a big push this year during our meetings with members of Congress and their staffs was to protect TSA, protect, Customs and Border Patrol from these shutdowns, because I don't think the arguments in politics will ever stop. But we need to protect these workers because they keep aviation rolling for us. So hopefully that works. But the good news story there is that when this shutdown happened, when we knew it was going to happen, we reached out to our airports board, a volunteer group, and asked them to lead an effort to take care of these TSA employees. And they did. They set up a GoFundMe account. One of our board members set that up and coordinated, and we reached out throughout the community. And you know how that goes. It's a good ripple effect that happens, and the community really stepped up. It was very impressive. We've got at Hilton Head. There's only 17 TSA workers, so it's a pretty small team. But each one of them received over those 6 weeks in different increments about $800 in gift cards that were specifically issued for gas and groceries. There's very strict guidelines with what they can accept because they are federal workers. So we had to work within those guidelines, but those were two of the specified areas where you could support these folks. And it meant a lot because we have people, some folks live paycheck to paycheck. And with the increasing fuel prices, it was becoming very, very difficult for some of them just to get to work. So that made a huge difference. And so shout out to the community, pat yourselves on the back. There are good people out here, and we're so happy about that. We had a traveler who was flying out and found out that there was this effort going on, and she had not had the opportunity to contribute to the GoFundMe. So she turned around and went and bought 17 gift cards and brought them back to TSA and gave them out before she boarded her flight. So it's just amazing. These are great stories, great human stories, and I love it. So that's what makes the job a lot of fun. So good news stories there. Billy had asked me to kind of touch on just an airport update as well. We are getting into our busier season, so we're excited about that. Welcoming some of the seasonal airlines back. So we've currently got American, United, both fully operational right now. So we've got daily flights in and out of Charlotte, Washington Reagan National, Newark Liberty International, and Chicago O'Hare International. So that's happening right now. And then in a couple of weeks, on April 12th, Delta will be back in, and that adds LaGuardia and Atlanta. So great service this summer. We'll also have Philadelphia coming back in. I think maybe in the May timeframe with American. So we'll add a couple more cities. But it's shaping up to be another busy summer, and we're super excited to have that summer happen in our new concourse. So I know that's what everybody wants to hear about. You've seen the construction going on. If you haven't been through the airport campus, just drive through. You don't even have to stop if you don't want to. We'd love you to go and have a cup of coffee or something. But Come by and check it out. We've done a lot of work with the front entrance. The greenery has done a great job with landscaping out front. Very thankful to them. And then once you get in the campus, Hilton Head Landscapes did our landscape package for the terminal. So come check that out. It's looking really, really snazzy for the spring season. We're proud of it. And in the building right now, it's coming along well. We are almost complete. So we're within a month of opening that. So the scheduled opening, the first day of operations, as long as everything continues smoothly, is May 1st. So if you've got a ticket after then you will be coming into the new concourse, which means you'll get to experience a brand new TSA checkpoint. And kind of my joke, tongue in cheek, is that pre-check will now mean something at Hilton Head. So we'll have two lines, and if you're pre-check, you'll actually have your own line. So that's pretty exciting for us. I watched yesterday that equipment is being installed as we speak. So we're glad that that's been delivered and everything's happening on schedule. The other big thing is that each of the boarding gates now has a boarding bridge. So I know when we have 75-degree days and it's beautiful sunshine, people don't really mind ground boarding. But when we get those afternoon thunderstorms, it's nice to walk down the tunnel and go into the airplane. So we will have that opportunity for everybody now who gets on those airplanes and gets off those airplanes. So a very first class experience, which is what we ought to be providing at the airport for our residents, and also those who choose to come to visit us. We're thankful for them as well. So we'll have in that boarding gate area lots more room for folks to mill about, to sit, to relax, charging stations and all the seats. Great new concessions areas, really nice, up to date restrooms. It's kind of funny to talk about restrooms, but they're beautiful. So we're excited about that. But the concessions are going to be pretty cool. There's going to be a great kind of focal point right in the middle of the concourse that I think you're really going to love. So I'm not going to reveal exactly what that is, but once you see it, I think you'll be pretty proud of it, and it'll be attractive to a lot of folks. That'll be fun. And we'll also have some changes with parking coming along. So the parking lot itself won't be expanded just yet. That'll happen in the next phase, but you'll see the kind of the traditional gate system going back in at the airport. If you remember from years and years ago, we had a gate system. So that's coming back, and we're incorporating some of the new technology with license plate recognition. So the accuracy in the system will be very, very solid, and we're looking forward to that too. So just a lot of great things are going to kick off this year, and we're super happy to have this, you know, really kind of coincide with the busy season. So that's the update, Bill.
All right, John, thank you. Exciting times, and as we like to joke sometimes, our little airport terminal is growing up.
That's right.
Yes. And thank you for sharing the heartwarming stories regarding TSA and the generosity of this community. And uh, you're right. There are some really, really good people out there, and uh, those type of stories need to be told more often. Questions. We've got a couple questions coming in, and the first question is coming from Jason, and Jason is asking if there have been any parking changes with the new construction.
Yeah, great question. I touched on it a little bit, but I will tell you that I guess the only changes that you may know, you would have noticed this by now. We actually reduced parking a little bit because the building itself, the construction moved closer to the parking lot instead of the airfield because we're a little bit squeezed on the airfield side. So there's a slight reduction in those available spots. But the second phase, which is what we're working on getting kicked off now, will include expansion of some of that ground parking. So it's going to happen over the next couple of years. So we're going to continue to have small projects that happen that will really kind of round out the terminal project.
All right. Thank you. Next question is coming from Marty, and Marty is asking if I wanted to give a gift card to the TSA employees, what type of card would I purchase?
Well, at this point, TSA has formally turned that off. So They actually have a start and stop for support, which might sound a little bit funny, but since they are federal employees, they have pretty strict guidelines on how that works. So, as of Monday at 2 o'clock, they stopped being able to legally receive gift cards. So, I will say just kind of hold that great thought in your head because I'd love to tell you government shutdowns are over, but I wouldn't bet on that.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
The next question's coming in from Mark, and Mark is asking if there are any other additional new flights on the horizon other than what you've already mentioned.
Well, I'll tell you right now, the ones that I rattled off are what we've got scheduled in the system right now. So sometimes we'll have another one that jumps on in the summertime, but I don't know of one right now. We're always working on air service development, so we never stop, looking for more options, more cities, and things like that. So nothing right now to announce. But just know that we continue to work on that, and we try to be responsive as well to what we hear from folks. So if you do have ideas, go ahead and filter that through because the airlines respond to that too. They're very, very in tune with how the community feels about the service. And when they see stories like the TSA support, that's not just TSA. The airlines notice that, and that matters to them. When airlines see that the community supports the airport, they want to invest. So again, another benefit of just, supporting the folks who work at the airport and using the service, the airlines pick up on that, and that makes us a better market for them to expand.
John, the next question is coming from Susan, and Susan is asking if there are any plans to extend the runway.
Great question, and we get that one pretty frequently. At this point, we do not. So the master plan that we're currently operating off of has us at the runway length that we're built to at this point. So right now, there are not plans on the books to extend the runway, and we're operating pretty well with these Embraer 175s that come in. They're pretty comfortable operating here, so we're happy with that.
John, we had the question about additional flights earlier, but when I was asking that question, I was also thinking about how far we have come with the number of cities and direct flights that we have here on Hilton Head Island now.
Definitely, Bill, and you and I need to catch up because we can really walk down memory lane with where we started together here and where we are now. But I was thinking about that as I was going through the cities. But just a few short years ago, we literally were flying just to Charlotte and the occasional Reagan National flight. And now we're looking at, the three major network carriers flying into right now 7 cities this summer. So it has come a long way. And just like when you driving somewhere, you want to have options, you want to have side roads and things like that. And the same thing with flying. So our goal is to really provide more opportunities, more options for folks who live here so that they can go see families or go to work or whatever they need to do. And then for folks to arrive to the island to visit. Options are key, and that's what we're trying to build.
We have time for just a couple of more questions. And Mary is asking about if air traffic volume will remain the same. And she also mentioned concern for noise regarding noise for her neighbors.
Yes, good questions, and thank you for that because every airport, every railroad, every interstate deals with noise and traffic congestion concerns. So I appreciate that. We're very sensitive to that. In fact, I had an airline pilot talking to me about that yesterday and making sure they're doing the right thing. So luckily, our approaches to the airport are generally over water, so we're in pretty good shape on those. We do make sure people know that it is a residential community, though. So we do have that in our publications, and we do have kind of a good neighbor policy. Um, it's not easy to predict the traffic that's going to happen at the airport or the number of flights, but I can tell you that on the daily average, we're a fairly quiet airport. We if we have 100 operations, and an operation is a landing or a takeoff, so that a landing and a takeoff is two. if we have 100 of those a day, that's a fairly busy day. And I will tell you, I just came back from a conference and I was talking with the good folks over at Hartsfield Jackson at Atlanta. And they were saying that every day they put between 80,000 and 100,000 people through their TSA checkpoints. So they're doing in a Monday to Wednesday what we're doing in a year. So we've got a nice quiet airport, a single runway. So we're not going to get all that busy.
John, one last thing here. I thought it might be interesting and for you just to mention, we'll be having Steve Wilmot on later, but what the private jet traffic looks like during Heritage Week leading up to and during the week.
Well, we're thankful, and like we always say, so many things on this island, in this economy, community, work hand in hand. And truly, with what Steve has done with the tournament, what the community's done to support this tournament and build it up to being such a high profile tournament now, helps us at the airport. You know, coming right after the Masters can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but what everybody's done with the tournament now to build it up is so important because the difference in who is coming to play in the tournament and the spectator draw makes it a big difference on who will fly in on their own airplanes or on their corporate airplanes to the airport. And what that means for us at the airport is it's fuel sales, it's concierge services, it's rental car services, it's all those things that we like to provide for people and that produce revenue for the community. So the economic impact of that tournament goes far and wide, and it is definitely not lost on the airport. So we're excited to see some of those beautiful airplanes come in and spend the week with us during the tournament week.
John, thanks so much for being with us. We did have another one of our viewers that had asked about phase two of the airport. We'll save that for the next time we have you on, just because we're limited on time this morning. But appreciate the job you do, the support, and I know you're getting ready for a very, very busy time.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, John Rembold, Beaufort County, and also Hilton Head Island Airport Director. Next up, we have Ingrid Boatwright, and Ingrid serves on the Beaufort County School Board. Ingrid's going to share what it's like to run for, I guess I should say, run for and serve, along with updating us on how things are progressing across the district. When
Yes,
she's not
and
serving on the school board, Ingrid leads the technology efforts for volunteers in medicine, bringing a strong blend of public service and professional expertise. Ingrid, we're delighted to have you with us this morning and looking forward to hearing from you.
thank you so much for that introduction. And yes, I'm very excited to have this opportunity to talk to this group. I do have a presentation and I'm a technology person, so I'm going to give this screen share one chance to see if it works. And if not, we'll just go without. The goal here today, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity, is to talk about why people should care and get involved with the local school board. And it kind of came about with the conversation that I've had. We have 8 seats up for election in this election cycle coming up. 2 years ago, when I ran for re-election, there were 4 seats up. And of those 4 seats, only one of those elections was contested. We've had 2 elections recently that were write-in candidates. So we're just not having that many people interested in serving on the school board. So I was hoping to kind of take a moment to explain why I think it is more important than maybe people realize what the school board's doing, and try to generate some interest and maybe even some people who might consider getting involved or running for the school board. So with that, I'm going to tell you there are approximately 3 buckets of reasons that I think are crucial for the school board and for the community to understand their impact. So the first one is taxes. I don't think people realize the impact that the school board has on local taxes. And so I thought I would do a quick comparison. Oh, did the screen go away? Went away on mine. Sorry, screen shares are always kind of an issue. Okay. So basically, if you look at the municipal budget of the 3 towns here in the south part of the Broad, you've got Hardeeville, Bluffton, and Hilton Head. And these are consolidated budgets, meaning it includes both their general funds and sort of their capital funds. So the town of Hardyville's budget for 2026 was 76 million roughly, town of Bluffton 95 million roughly, and the town of Hilton Head was 174 million roughly. And you can see also that the number of employees that each municipal organization has, with about 165 to around 200. I didn't have an exact count. And then if you look at the budget of Beaufort County, it's 199 million, and they have about 1,500 employees. So that kind of tells you what the other local organizations are doing. Beaufort County School Board passed a $376 million general fund budget. We have 2,800 employees. And it was hard to do an apples to apples comparison when you look at general funds and capital funds, but just also for comparison, we have around $750 million in debt servicing for capital projects because we have 35 school buildings, and each one of those school buildings has wings, it has a cafeteria, it has athletic facilities, it has all these other ancillary features. So we have a huge capital expenditure. And I thought I'd just take a moment to explain Act 388 in 1 minute or less. Act 388 is a long-standing, it's called the Real Property Valuation Reform Act. I believe it was passed in 2006, so it's been around for a long time. And basically what it did is it said the schools will not be funded by property owners. So if you own property in Beaufort County and you live in it, you are not paying any money towards the schools. What the state replaced that with was a 1 cent penny tax that it gathers at the state level, and it retained the taxing ability of second homes or vacation properties, rental properties. Those are taxed at 6%, and businesses, and then some other things like car and boat taxes. But what that does in Beaufort County is that we have one of the highest indexes of tax paying ability, which is a thing the state does that determines how much money you can raise locally. And then it offsets that with how much of that 1 cent tax we get. Beaufort County, you will not be surprised to hear, is one of the largest tax paying ability. So basically, 2/3 of our $376 million budget comes from business and second home taxes, with the state kicking in about 1/3. So that's a lot of money coming on to second homeowners, rental properties, and business owners. The next thing I think that people underestimate is the impact of the school system on attracting investments. And I think that comes down to two different avenues. Attracting new people to the area. South Carolina is one of the fastest growing states. In fact, I think this year it was the fastest growing state in the country. In Beaufort County right now, we have a large retirement community, which is wonderful, and I'm glad for everybody to take advantage of those opportunities. But we have 1 in 3 people are over 65 in Beaufort County, compared to about 1 in 6 nationally. Our current average age is 48.1. And what I found interesting when I looked at these numbers is that prior to the pandemic in 2020, we were at 46.2. So our age actually has increased quite a bit as people have moved here post the pandemic. And just for comparison, nationally, the average age is 39. And so what that means when you look at attracting new businesses, the top qualities, if you're looking to recruit an industry or a business down here and they're thinking about they need to hire people and bring their workers in, their top qualities are affordability, which I'm sure we all know, access to healthcare, and schools. Access to healthcare is one that I think is really becoming very prominent in our community. Obviously, I work at Volunteers in Medicine and also in with the rest of the healthcare community I'm pretty familiar with. We are short a lot of workforce in healthcare, and not just doctors, but nurses, home health aides, MRI technologists, et cetera. So we really need to attract those people in order to continue to provide high quality healthcare services for our large retirement community. So it's really an issue when you look at whether or not businesses will come here and thrive here. Can we recruit people into the area? And then the other role the school has is, can we grow our own local talent to meet the needs of businesses? So those are two things that really impact the business community. And the third bucket I kind of labeled as community values. And what I wanted to point out is the role that I think we're all hearing about nationally and locally that education is playing in our politics and in our sort of cultural and kitchen table discussions. Here in South Carolina, 1 in 10 bills being discussed right now in the General Assembly are directly related to schools, K through 12, and also higher education. And here's just a sample of some of the more prominent ones. Um, the Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity Act, Protection of Minors from Pornography and Obscenities Act, Parental Rights and Education Act, and the Mandatory Recording of Public School Instructions. These are all really hot button topics out in the public, and they're things that really feature in the schools and how we want to educate our students and I guess I would say convey our community values through our young people. And just to give you an idea of some of the issues that we're dealing with at the school board and they're dealing with in the legislature, we've got parental rights. That's a big topic of discussion. School choice, public health issues. If you remember the masking controversy of about 4 years ago, mental health issues, social media. There's been some recent court cases that have generated a lot of interest about the impact of social media on young people and free speech. Discipline is a huge issue in the public schools, DEI discussions that are ongoing. And then I wanted to end with book bans. As you guys can see, I put up a graphic of 60 minutes over here because not only is Beaufort County School District do we have the most employees and the largest budget, we are the only government entity to have been featured on 60 Minutes recently because of the book ban policies that we have been navigating. So it is something that is directly affecting Beaufort County, but these are conversations that are happening at a much larger scale as well. And so the schools are kind of becoming a place where a lot of these sort of controversial topics are being centered. So, in my opinion, it's very important that we have business leaders and community leaders engaged in the schools. One, because of the economic impact on our community. Two, because of the growth issues. And three, because these values that we're talking about are the things that are really going to have a long-term impact on how our community represents itself. So that is just kind of a quick overview of why I think business leaders, community leaders, especially here on Hilton Head and Bluffton, should get involved, consider running if you know someone that's interested in running. But even if you're not interested in running for the school board, and we can talk about that separately, um, getting engaged with these ideas, talking out at public comments, sending letters, reaching out to your local representatives so that every voice is at the table when these things are being discussed. So with that, I think it would be a much more interesting discussion if I could field any questions for anybody.
All right, Ingrid, thank you very much. And to no surprise, you being the technology person, your slides were spot on. So thank you.
My reputation was on the line there.
It was, yes. We have a few questions coming in, and one is asking, it's coming in from Andy, and Andy is asking what the filing deadline is for the Beaufort County School Board.
The filing deadline is not till mid-August because school boards are nonpartisan. So you don't have to go through any kind of a primary process. You don't have to state your political preference. It's a nonpartisan, as is town council. So you can register all the way up through August 17th.
All right, thank you. And Connie is asking when we should expect the new Hilton Head Island High School to open.
The plan is, and we are ahead of schedule and actually under budget. So it's going along really well. The plan is that they will actually start using the new school this upcoming school year. So over the summer, they are going to have the new wing ready and they're going to be transferring all the furniture and equipment in. And we hope to welcome this next year's class into the new wing. Once that new wing is completed, there will be some demolition and basically some remodeling of the old school. So it's kind of a multi-phase project. But yeah, we hope to have that thing usable here for the next school year. So that's in what, 4 months.
That's hard to imagine that.
It's a beautiful building and they have done a fabulous job with it.
Great. You kind of answered our next question coming in from David, and he was asking what will happen to the old Hilton Head High School. You talked a little bit about that. Don't know if you would like to elaborate any more.
Yeah, so they're going to demo most of that old wing. They'll be saving the theater, or what we call the Seahawks Community Center, the SCC, will continue to be there. It will have some light remodeling. The main school, which was built in 1983, is going to be largely demoed. Athletic facilities will remain, and then there's going to be some green space and parking behind that three-story building.
Jenny is asking if there's any time frame for a new school bond referendum.
We hope to be passing those on a more regular cycle. We had gone since, I think, don't quote me on this exactly. I think it was, we had gone 8 years without passing a referendum. I think we'd had three failed referendums before Dr. Rodriguez came in. And Dr. Rodriguez has done a really good job of building trust in the community. And as a result of that, we were able to pass two large referendums. What you want to do eventually, and this is something I think people should consider as you think about the role of the school board, is you want to have a more regular cycle of smaller referendums, but we were sort of behind the schedule because of some of the stuff that had gone on earlier and some of the lack of trust the community had with the school board and with the leadership of the school district. So I hope to maintain that momentum and get on where we're having a more, sort of a refresh cycle approach to our capital projects. So they're not as large, but they're more regular because we do 35 schools in a coastal zone with the kind of beatings that they take from the heat, the humidity, and then of course, we have the hurricane issue. It's a lot to maintain. So we do not have one coming up for this bond cycle, but I would anticipate something within the next 2 years that we would be able to bring forward, but it hopefully will be much smaller than the last two that we've had.
Susan mentioned that you talked about the filing, but also wanting to know what the deadline would be as well.
Um, I looked this up and I know it's mid-August. I want to say August 17th, but I could get that exact deadline up there. It's if you go to scvotes.com, you'll find all the information. And just to give you a few details on what it is like to run for the school board, it's a very easy process. You can file. I've always gone down to the Beaufort office and you basically fill out a form, and you are on the ballot. And then there is a campaign season and from August to November, and organizations like the League of Women Voters will host roundtables and discussions and different things where you can go out. It's not a particularly strenuous campaign season. If you are elected, it is a 4-year term. So people sometimes don't realize that it is a 4-year term, and you are committing to 2 meetings a month at a minimum. We have several committees that people can and are often expected to serve on. We also do things, we attend all the graduations. We have work sessions, and we do things like a public budget forum where school board members will come. So the commitment is not insignificant, but it is something you can do and work. That's something that I do. I work full time, and until just recently, I had kids at home. My last graduated last year. But it is manageable for someone who is working. So um, I would just consider people to consider it if they're interested.
All right, thank you. Our last question today is coming from Rick, and he is asking if the funding of our schools is unique to our area.
To Beaufort County, I mean, the unique part, yes, there are a couple of unique things. South Carolina is unique in that most states, the property taxes fund the schools. And that was a very deliberate decision by the General Assembly, 20 years ago. That does create uniqueness. We have a higher than average index of tax paying ability. So that means that the local economy bears more responsibility than some of the less affluent counties. The other thing that is unique that I don't think people know much about is that we do not have fiscal autonomy. There are a handful of districts in the state that do not have fiscal autonomy. And what that means is that we come up with our budget and we then have to submit it to county council, and county council has to approve it. This is, obviously from the school district's perspective, has caused significant issues. It's something that we've taken to the legislative delegation. We've taken it to various organizations for support to see if they would allow our school district to set its own budget. And And I will say right now, if you look at Tanya Crosby is our director of finance, and she is phenomenal. We have had the cleanest financial record of any government organization. We have, I think it's I can't remember off the top of my head. We have a very high bond rating, which allows us to do really well when we do have things like referendums. We get a great rate. So I feel like our financial house is in very good order. And it would be nice to have fiscal autonomy so that we could set our own budget because our superintendent and our school board members are the people best suited to make decisions about the educational needs of people. But as of right now, there has not been a big appetite because it would actually have to be changed at the state level to grant Beaufort County fiscal autonomy.
Ingrid, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for your passion and your service to the Beaufort County School District.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak to this group.
All right, that was Ingrid Boatwright. And now finally, we're going to move on to welcome back a familiar face as we count down to everyone's favorite PGA Tour event. Steve Wilmot, president of the Heritage Classic Foundation and tournament director for the RBC Heritage, presented by Boeing. What you might not know about Steve is this year he's going to be celebrating his 40 years in this role, making him the longest serving tournament director on the PGA Tour. And it's one of 8 signature events on the tour. The RBC Heritage continues to evolve and attract the very best golfers in the world, and while maintaining the character and charm that really make this event so special. Steve, we're looking forward to your update today as we prepare for one of the biggest weeks of the year.
Hopefully, I have a tea time here in about 40 minutes, Bill. So, no, I thought we'd be down here today. And again, thank you for having me. But also, this is my home for the next couple of weeks. This is our office down here on site, and we're excited about things. Coming up real soon, but this is my PowerPoint presentation is what's behind us right now. And again, thank you. And John, I'd like to thank you as well because your comments were spot on as too, in the fact that this isn't just my event or our, it's truly our event, and it's we and not me here. But your support at the airport, but also from the rental cars to the hotels to the rental companies to the secondary golf courses to the restaurants to the grocery stores to shopping. I mean, this is all a part of the success of the tournament and why RBC wants to be here, why our partners want to be here, and so many of you are our great partners. And Bill mentioned something about a few extra years. I don't talk about years as much as I do maybe how many pounds I've put on over. But it's not just about myself. I have an incredible team. Angela McSwain's right here to my left. She's our marketing communications director. We have 14 full-time employees, but we work with incredible board and incredible community. The Sea Pines Resort, CSA. In addition to the town, we have direct access to Columbia as well, and that's because of us working together. And when I say us, this entire community, and you and your team too, Bill. But we're excited. We've got a lot of things happening right now. We will move in full time down on site come Monday. The operations team has been down here for a couple of weeks right now. I'm currently sitting at the clubhouse, and something of maybe interest for these viewing today and listening in is the clubhouse is used, the conference center for RBC as the title sponsor. Upstairs in the Heritage Room is utilized by Boeing, our presenting sponsor. Link's Restaurant is where player dining and player support is throughout the course of the week. And then obviously we have the locker room up there too. So it is kind of on lockdown to a certain degree, but it's also an incredible space that the PGA Tour loves. The week of the tournament, Tuesday of the tournament, there is a PAC meeting, which will be followed by a future competition committee meeting. So all the top brass and will be up here from Ponte Vedra. I jokingly have said over the years, the good news is we're 3 hours from Ponte Vedra. The bad news is we're 3 hours from Ponte Vedra, but we'll have more PGA Tour staff on site. But like John mentioned too, I mean, the likes of the RBCs, they love being here. They feel welcome. They feel a part of the community. And there's so many moving parts before anybody even gets down on site and walks through the main entrance and starts viewing or starts having a pop or so or but we appreciate all the support. And we look at working with South Carolina Department of Transportation right now, making sure 95 and the entrance to 278 is clean, work is adequate, working with the Sheriff's Department obviously with regards to the safety and all, working with many different agencies, working with all you partners out there from the hoteliers to the other properties too. There's so many things that need to happen before our partners get down here. But we're excited about a great week. The field is starting to fill in. They have until Friday up prior to the tournament. There is some late additions that could happen Monday after the Masters, but we'll have as strong, if not a stronger field that we've had last year. But it's a compliment to think where we were in 2010 and 11. Not sure what 12 would bring to being a signature event, one of the premier events on the PGA Tour is, again, a compliment and a thank you to everybody. Bill, one thing I should from an operations side, I've got some facts and figures down here, which is really kind of interesting when you think about it, and don't think about it. But we have over 175 TVs. We have we have 10 video boards. We have over 6 miles of coax, 20 miles of rope. We have 100 plus 18 wheelers of equipment. We have 500 trash recycle. I mean, there's things that are really incredible, but you think about it, it's the likes of Sparklight, working with Palman Electric, working with our electrician, working with Coastal Security that works with the Sheriff's Department, works with Sea Pines. There's so many moving parts. And again, it's normally whoever it might be when the question's asked by myself or our team to anybody out there, it's 99.9% of the time is yes is the answer. What's the question? How can we get this done, and how can we get it done together?
Steve, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. We do have a few questions, and the first one's coming from Denise, and Denise is asking how you're continuing to elevate the experience for both the players and the fans.
Well, I compliment the staff here too. I've said it before too. Just because we did it away 5 years ago, let alone last year, doesn't mean we do it this year. Some of the, we evaluate, we debrief, recap every year. How do we take it to the next level? Was it a presentation from the food and beverage? Whether it's viewing opportunities, that's something I'm very proud of the staff this year. There's bleacher opportunities on every hole. So, the sponsors are certainly very important, but the general spectators and our volunteers are extremely important as well. So, we want to elevate the experience however we can, and more is not necessarily better. When I say that is with regards to spectators. I mean, we could sell more tickets, but we want the experience to be, best in class, and from viewing to concession lines to restroom. That's something we take in consideration. It's not just sell, but we still have opportunities there. We still have tickets available. And we still have sponsor opportunities that are there should people be interested.
Thank you. Next question is coming from Susan, and Susan is asking how many volunteers participate for the RBC Heritage.
Well, we just great question, because it's one of those things too. If we had to pay a dollar an hour for the time of our volunteers, we give nothing to charity. And last year we were able to donate in excess of $4.4 million. But we're close to 2,000 volunteers that work under our organization with our organization, and we just had our volunteer uniform distribution just recently at one of our partners, USCB's campus. We had a volunteer party last Wednesday night out at Honeyhorn Coastal Discovery Museum. But those 2,000, roughly 2,000 volunteers doesn't include the volunteers that support the concession booths or parking cars or helping in other areas too. So you're looking at 2,000 plus volunteers that support the tournament, and not just the week of the event. Truly, that's important, but there's so much more that's going on. The planning that goes into it, as people know in Sea Pines, we had 100 BMWs show up recently, and there's a transportation committee that handles that. And actually, that gentleman, Bill Schilling, was a finalist as Volunteer of the Year on the PGA Tour, and that's over 100,000 volunteers, and he was recognized as one of the finalists. And BMW wrote an incredible letter in support of him. But so they're a huge part of the success of this of the tournament.
Steve Casey is asking if you would address what the public parking options are for this year.
Yeah, well, it's Honeyhorn Coastal Discovery Museum. I mean, we manage in excess of 22 parking lots within the Sea Pines, but also in the exterior. But Honeyhorn is the main. There are lots 1, 2 that are VIP lots that can be that are a part of things. There's whether you're a Pro-Am participant, there's different Pro-Am lots, there's sponsor lots. CSA has a lot, which will be lot 3 this year for the community that they work extremely closely with us too, and they'll be using their trolley system from lot 3. So there are options. I mean, I go back when you sit here and think about how we change or elevate or make things better or do better to be better. Moving the parking outside of Sea Pines was met with a lot of resistance a few years back, but it's really has helped all. It's been well received, and obviously working with the town at Honeyhorn and Coastal, working with within Sea Pines as well. But it's one of those things that was met with resistance years ago, but it certainly has benefited many property owners and those that have the right credentials within Sea Pines.
Next question is coming from Dave, and Dave is asking if you're still looking for volunteers and how to get involved.
Well, please, you can go to our website. I mean, we are at the 12th hour here with regards to support. We already have a waiting list, but please, each and every year committees change. We add committees. It's amazing the support, but please, you can go to our website, and a young lady, Sarah Sophia, handles the volunteer organization for us, and more than happy to add you to the list.
Next question is coming from Mitch, and Mitch is asking if there will be a Boeing flyover this year.
Yes, and it's always one of those things too. Is they never know. It will be 4 o'clock on Saturday. We never truly announce it because in working with Boeing, it depends which plane's on the end of the flight line and some things. But yes, it's Saturday, and it's strategically scheduled for Saturday at 4 o'clock because it's a part of prime time, the CBS telecast, and that's been negotiated into Boeing's contract along with the PGA Tour and CBS. But yes, there will be.
Steve, thanks so much for being with us. Congratulations on your 40th. This is that's amazing.
Well, please know I couldn't have done it. Wouldn't been able to be here if not like wonderful people that are on here. I love what you do what you love, as many of you do, but I don't have to do it. I get to do it, and I get to do it with so many great people and the wonderful support from not just my team, but this community. And I'm not looking forward to another 40 years, but I'm certainly looking forward to a few more. But thank you.
Thank you for doing it with excellence. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. Well, a big thank you again to all of our speakers for joining us today. Thanks to each of you for joining us today as well. Certainly an exciting time of year on Hilton Head Island and Bluffton and the region. And we look forward to seeing many of you tomorrow night at the Plaid Party and out and about as we celebrate the RBC Heritage Week together. Also want to take this time to wish each and every one of you a happy Easter. And thank you so much for joining us today. Look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Have a great day.